I never thought I'd see someone's skull cracked open right in front of my driveway, and definitely not by the president of our neighborhood HOA. But that's exactly what happened. One swing of her metal bat, and everything changed. The mailman bleeding on the pavement, neighbors screaming, and Karen standing there like she'd just defended the world from evil. I'm Alex, and I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood called Maplewood Heights, the kind of place where people mow their lawns in patterns and wave at each other just long enough to feel polite. Peaceful, right? Yeah. Until Karen McCarran decided that peace was a violation of HOA policy. Karen wasn't just any neighbor. She was the self-appointed queen of the cul-de-sac, short blonde bob, permanent scowl clipboard practically glued to her hand. She walked around like she owned the zip code, the air we breathed, and possibly the U.S. Postal Service. I used to joke that she probably took that clipboard to bed. It wasn't a joke. Things started going downhill when our new mailman Andrew showed up. He was fresh out of training, mid-20s, kind smile, that people are good energy that usually doesn't last long in HOA territory. One afternoon he came up to me after his route and said, does that lady with the blonde bob hate me? She keeps glaring like I ran over her poodle." I laughed. "Oh, that's just Karen. Her face comes pre-loaded with judgment. Don't worry, you'll get used to it." I thought that would be the end of it. But Karen doesn't do end of it. She does control it. Within a week she was timing Andrew's mail deliveries with a stopwatch, no exaggeration. Every morning she'd stand by her porch scribbling notes like she was building a legal case against gravity. Once I saw her walk right up to his truck and peer into the back like she was sniffing for contraband letters. I told Andrew, "You might want to keep your distance. Karen doesn't follow rules, she writes them, then screams when no one else does." He laughed it off, poor guy. He thought it was harmless suburban drama. He didn't realize she was circling him like a hawk over fresh meat. Then one morning she crossed the line like federal level crossed. Andrew told me later that Karen had marched right up to his truck and tapped on his window with her pen hard enough to sound like a summons. He rolled it down halfway, trying to be polite. Big mistake. Karen leaned in and said, "From now on, all incoming mail must be reviewed by me, first community security protocol." Andrew blinked. "Ma'am, that's illegal. Mail is private property." She smirked. "Our former mailman worked with me on this. It's standard procedure." That's the thing about Karen. She lies with the confidence of a politician, mid-speech. Andrew stayed calm and told her I'd deliver mail to residents, not HOA presidents. Her face froze. The smile disappeared. "We'll see about that," she hissed before turning and stalking off like a villain exiting stage left. That's when I started feeling uneasy. That night I saw her outside pacing her driveway, whispering on the phone under the streetlight. I told myself she was just being her usual paranoid self. I was wrong. She was planning something. 3 days later, the storm hit. It was a normal Tuesday sunshine, kids riding bikes, birds chirping, the kind of day where nothing bad should happen. Andrew's mail truck rolled in like usual. I was weeding my front yard when Karen appeared from behind a hedge, sunglasses on clipboard tucked under her arm, that tight little smile that always meant trouble. Andrew stepped out of the truck, nodded politely. "Morning, ma'am." Karen stepped in front of him. "Submit the mail now." He sighed. "Tampering with mail is a federal crime, Karen. I could lose my job." "You could." She interrupted him, voice cold and steady. "I'll ask you one last time." He shook his head. "No." And that's when she swung. No warning, no scream, just the metallic crack of a bat smashing bone. Andrew dropped instantly. Letters exploded across the street like confetti at a nightmare parade. Karen raised the bat again, her face twisted, shouting about protecting the community as she brought it down on his shoulder, his ribs anywhere she could reach. I heard the sound before I saw it, that wet, sickening rhythm that doesn't belong in real life. I ran. By the time I reached them, Andrew was on the ground, crawling, bleeding, one hand reaching for his broken radio. "Karen, stop!" someone yelled. Derek from Lot 14 tackled her from behind, and the bat clattered across the pavement. She kicked and screamed like a wild animal. I grabbed Andrew, pressed a towel to his face, blood seeping through instantly. "You're okay. Stay with me," I kept saying, even though I wasn't sure he could hear me. When the sirens came, Karen was standing off to the side, hair wild, muttering about spies and protocols. She even tried to pick up her clipboard again, like that thing could protect her from handcuffs. Andrew was taken away on a stretcher, whispering through swollen lips, "Please don't let her near the mailboxes again." That night I sat in my living room, hands still stained with his blood. I couldn't shake the guilt I had known. She was unstable. I'd warned Andrew, but I hadn't stopped her. Maybe if I'd called the HOA board earlier, maybe if I hadn't brushed it off as just Karen being Karen. For a few hours I honestly thought about moving out, pretend it never happened. But then I looked outside, saw her porch light still on, and realized something people like Karen thrive because everyone else stays quiet. So I didn't stay quiet. I called the Postal Inspection Service, the federal agency that investigates crimes involving mail and postal employees. They took it seriously. I sent them every bit of evidence I could find, the video from Derek's doorbell cam, screenshots from Karen's HOA emails, her fake security protocol memo. They said they'd handle it. 3 days later at sunrise it happened. Blue lights flashed through the blinds. FBI, local police, postal inspectors all parked outside Karen's house like a crime documentary being filmed live. She stepped out in her robe, clutching her clipboard, yelling, "Do you have any idea who I am?" The lead inspector didn't even flinch. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for assaulting a federal employee, obstruction of mail, and intentional delay of U.S. postal operations." Click, handcuffs. The entire neighborhood watched from driveways, holding coffee mugs like it was Sunday morning entertainment, phones out recording. Karen screamed something about diplomatic immunity and community defense before being shoved into the back of a black SUV. Her clipboard fell into a puddle paper, soaking up muddy water. Poetic, really. Andrew came back a week later to testify, jaw wired, shut face, bruised, but still smiling. The man was a walking symbol of resilience. Neighbors brought him cookies, cards, apology notes for not stopping Karen sooner. For once the HOA meetings were quiet. No shouting, no point of order. Just silence, the kind that comes after a monster is finally unmasked. Court day was surreal. Karen stood there in a beige suit, hair flat, trying to spin the story into some noble act of protecting her community. The judge wasn't buying it. "Mrs. McCarran," he said, "what you call protection, the law calls assault. Against a federal worker. That's not authority, that's madness." She tried to argue, but he cut her off and read the sentence: 15 years in federal prison, a $250,000 fine, full restitution for Andrew's medical bills and trauma. Her HOA presidency revoked. Her house seized to cover legal fees. When they took her away, she still shouted about bylaws and neighborhood purity. Nobody answered. I remember standing outside that courthouse, breathing in the cool air, feeling not happiness, just relief. Like the neighborhood could finally exhale after holding its breath for too long. Now mail delivery feels sacred. The sound of envelopes sliding into boxes, the quiet hum of the truck, it all feels like proof that order can return after chaos. Andrew taped a note inside his new truck window that said, "Monsters don't always hide under beds. Sometimes they chair HOAs." Every time I walk by, I see it and I nod. Because he's right. Evil doesn't always come with fangs or masks. Sometimes it comes with a clipboard and a rule book. And the next time someone like Karen tries to rewrite the law to suit their power trip, I'll remember what it cost us to stop her. Sometimes standing up for what's right doesn't make you a hero. It just means you're finally done being afraid.